It's been on my mind for a very long time now that I wanted to create a new account. Something fresh, something that I can put a lot of time and effort into, and something which I can upload a lot of content from. I was very much torn between making myself either a pure or making myself an Iron Man. After looking at all the feedback, and I constantly get comments in my videos all the time asking me to make an Iron Man, I thought, what the hell? Let's go ahead and let's create my very first Iron Man. And seeing as how that was the plan, if you're gonna make an Iron Man, you may as well make it a hardcore, because why the hell not? To be completely honest, I really don't know that much about Iron Man, but I feel as if I have myself a fair bit of experience, and I don't feel like it's going to be too much of a change for me. And what I mean by that is when I actually made my main Raikou, at the time the Grand Exchange wasn't even in RuneScape. You pretty much did everything self-sufficiently as it was, because it was a lot easier to go out and find your own resources and supplies than it was to actually have to depend on other players to have them. In terms of having myself a strategy for doing this, I don't really have one, to be totally honest. Something which I did on Raikou at the very beginning of creating the account was I went straight ahead and I went for Barrow Gloves, and that is exactly what I intend on doing on this account. Now, I believe on Raikou, when I got Barrow Gloves, I was around about level 60 combat when I actually got them, which I think is pretty damn low considering there's level 120s that don't actually have them to this day. So that is basically the first thing I plan to do on this account, and along the way there have also been little hurdles and skills and levels that I've had to get to do quests and to also make the questing a lot easier and enjoyable for myself. Now, all of the clips that you are currently seeing, all of the quests that I had completed, they were all around RuneScape, ranging from Lumbridge all the way to Ardy, and starting off on a fresh account, I had to basically walk everywhere. I had no teleportations, so every quest that you see me unlocked, I did it with basically 1 agility, so it took a hell of a long time to be able to accomplish anything. So, one of my very first goals on this account was basically to get myself the RD Cape 1 from the Achievement Diaries. For those of you that don't know, it basically just gives you unlimited teleports to Ardougne, which is very useful when you have absolutely no means of teleportation, because as you guys are fully aware, walking all the way to Ardy from Lumbridge is quite the hike. All of the quests that you're seeing me complete were all done in the order of completion. I really don't know if I did it in a good order. I don't know if it was an efficient way to do it. I just kind of did it with my own game knowledge, and I kind of looked at the rewards, and I thought that these quests in this particular order would have been beneficial for me in the long run. And I really feel like Barrow Gloves are not going to be that far away from completion. I'm really looking forward to getting them. They're always like a massive part of RuneScape for me. Whenever somebody comes to me for advice when it comes to starting a new account, the first thing I say is get yourself Barrow Gloves, because by the time you've got the Barrow Gloves, it's a worthy accomplishment for your account. And at that point, you probably aren't going to quit, because there's no turning back once you've put that many hours into it. Like I said, I am no expert when it comes to an Iron Man. I really don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. So if you guys do have any suggestions for things that I should be doing, which are going to benefit me in the long run, I am happily open to reading your criticisms and also any suggestions you have. Like I said earlier, one of the first things I wanted to get done was getting the RD Cloak 1, which was what I was working towards that entire time. And I gotta say, it does feel incredibly good to have this cape. I would highly suggest pretty much anybody getting it, Iron Man or normal RuneScape account. It's just such a handy thing to have. And considering the stats on it, it's really not that bad for such a low level tier cape. It really isn't. I mean, like, the only upgrade would be a better RD Cape until eventually you get to the Fire Cape, and then when you're at the end game, when you can get yourself an Infernal Cape. So, highly suggest doing that, guys. Get your RD Capes. Now, once I was done with the RD Cape, I went ahead and I trained my agility. Once I got 40 in the Varrock Agility House course, I headed over to the Priest and Peril to complete that to get the shortcut to Canaphis, and jumping forward probably over 10 hours, 260 marks of grace, It did really take a long time to get this. It was probably longer than 10 hours. I don't know. I didn't even record any of the levels getting it because it was just so tedious and repetitive. But as you can see, I did get myself full Graceful, and it was one of the first things I did on this account. Now, something I left out in the prior clip to this one is that I actually went to the pyramid in the desert, as you can see now, to basically collect the pyramid tops, which you can trade in for 10k cash at a time. And with that money, I used it to buy runes at the Mage Bank shop, which is pretty much the only place at this point in time where I can actually get hold of runes for a decent price and high-end runes such as lore runes and nature runes. I don't really know if this is like a common practice for Iron Men to do this method of getting cash in the early days, but I pretty much learned this from Deadman mode, which is kind of funny really, like a PvP version of the game taught me this knowledge. But it's good money. I mean, you can get to like 200k plus GP per hour, and obviously as a hardcore Iron Man or any Iron Man starting out, that is a lot of money, and that money can come very in handy when it comes to training and also buying certain armor and weapons in the game. Now, as you can imagine, it was quite stressful and very sketchy actually getting to the Mage Bank. So what I basically did was I took my pure account, which is the closest combat level to this hardcore Iron Man, and I made him walk me all the way to Mage Bank. Obviously, there are no guarantees in the wilderness, and there are constantly people hopping worlds to check. I basically had my mouse at the log out button the entire time. I was constantly checking it. I was so paranoid when I was running to the Mage Bank because if you get caught, it's basically guaranteed death. But because the account is such a low level, I really don't mind that much at this point. I feel like if I'm going to take these risks, it's probably best done when I am a lower level. And to be completely honest, if I was to die on this account, Tasty Potato, beautiful name by the way, I would probably just continue as a regular Iron Man because I don't have one. And so far, I have really enjoyed this account. I don't feel like I have too much of like an emotional connection to the whole hardcore Iron Man thing. Obviously, to keep the hardcore status is going to be quite a nice thing and like a little bit of a trophy, I guess, in a way. But I will not be treating this account any differently from what I would be playing any regular other account. And what I mean by that is I plan on basically doing everything I want to do on this account. Obviously, I'm not going to use it for PKing or anything ridiculous like that. But as far as PVM goes, I'm pretty much going to do everything that I want to on this account. The only thing that really concerns me, and I think I will probably think twice about, is such bosses such as the Corporal Beast, but I'm getting way ahead of myself here. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the only bosses which I will really need to have some thinking and consideration towards. But in terms of God Wars, Barrows, and whatever other bosses I choose to do in this game, I'm really not too worried, and I'm really excited to make the little accomplishments at the very beginning of the game, such as getting myself the Ranger boots, Barrow pieces, and so forth. I'm really looking forward to making those little footsteps and that progress. I personally enjoy that the most when it comes to brand new fresh accounts, and especially seeing how everything I get on this account I can't swap over, sell in any way. It's all going to be on this account, and it is going to be a glorious loot tab. Now, as you just saw in that clip, I did get myself 45 magic. That was the reason I was buying runes, so I could basically use every teleport across the game, or at least the main ones, which I will be using the majority of the time. And if you guys are curious, these are my current stats as of the end of my first episode on my Hardcore Iron Man. I personally feel like I've done fairly well. I've got 56 quest points, and I've made a lot of essential gains in making this a self-sufficient account. Now, I am really excited about this account because it is basically endless content I can provide you guys and upload and give you content on a regular basis, giving you progress and letting you see how the account is going, while at the same time doing different series such as the God War Dungeon from scratch on my main account. It is definitely going to provide a lot of content for everybody to enjoy. Now, with all of that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's something that you guys are happy with. I know for myself, I'm going to be having a ton of fun making progress on this account. And I very much look forward to hearing what you guys think about this series that I'm going to be doing on the side while I upload other content. With all of that being said, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed today's video. Make sure you leave it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you very soon.